6th anniversary of Sword Online Integral Factor is upon us with a lot of free skills and pulls alongside a wonderful Floor 51 story taking place between Argo and Laughing Coffin members Morte and Red-Eyed Zaza, and a more nuanced look into one of our antagonists, Notte. And of course, how can we forget the new beautiful looking full burst skills, including Kirito, Asuna and Koharu. Welcome SAO survivors to Weekly Integral Factor. I'm joining you after another 1 week hiatus, and I'll be honest, it's just that there isn't enough of an interest in this weekly EXP series unless there are big news about the game, and it was kinda sorta negatively impacting my channel performance for a while, so I'm kinda conflicted on what to do. I can try being more clickbaity of course, but I don't really want to. So for now, I'll trust you to smash that like button and share your comments or questions freely for YouTube to push the video more in recommendations. Alright, Floor 51. It is our most recent floor in a neon-filled city of criminals featuring a full-sized floor story, meaning we got 2 maps, main story progression and a floor boss. And, of course, to beat a criminal syndicate, you need to think like one or find someone who does. So our heroes turn to former Laughing Coffin members for help, Morte and Zaza, who have their own reasons for helping us. While I can nitpick about how you should never trust former Laughing Coffin members, at least the game tries to justify it with things like how Pooh betrayed them and how they now enjoy chilling in prison, especially with tons of people wanting to take them out in the game if they were outside, etc. And the story itself, as well as characterization of the likes of Argo as well as Morte, they are top tier stuff here, as well as the references to the past. We also get to learn more about one of our antagonists, Notte, and how conflicted she is about what she is doing. Quite great stuff here. If you're looking for a review on the Floor 51 story, I have a lengthy thread available on Twitter, linked in the description as well as the pinned comment, or you can just watch my playthrough of it by clicking the icon on the top right. With Floor 51, we have new boss-themed avatars. The level cap has been increased to 230 for those hardcore players. I'm 157 right now. A new Integral series weapon set has been implemented, as well as the production requirements for them being eased up a bit. The new feature, Full Burst, is here, which I will get to in a bit. Our floor boss is a modified version of the Skull Reaper, which is made of metal, aptly named the Metal Reaper. It's weak to blunt and earth while resisting pretty much everything else, which may sound unfortunate, but the health of the boss felt nowhere near as problematic as the octopus boss we had on floor 83. You're all the more encouraged to use clubs or axes with the blunt type attacks though, because the boss has a lot of short wind-up attacks that you can inflict a break via these skills. I think it's a very well implemented mechanic, considering they even included it in the story in a way with Stilla parrying or rather deflecting these attacks, so this short wind-up portion should be matching up with that description in a way. For clearing Floor 51, you'll receive 2 4-star skills, a Full Burst Kirito skill, which I'll talk about in a bit in the Full Burst introduction section, and a Notte ability skill. The Way is Closed Notte is a passive ability. It increases your damage against enemies that are weak to thrust by up to 15% at max limit break, and when you're debilitated, your holy damage is increased by up to 35%. I strongly recommend going into the new floor story, it's quite good, and again my review on Twitter is linked in the description as well as the pinned comment if you're interested for some insight. Now, Full Burst skills. They are our new skill type for the 6th anniversary, which also acts kind of as an update to the normal burst skills, where if you limit break a normal burst skill to max, it'll also act as a full burst skill. Same as burst skills, Full Burst requires you to use a sequence of matching elements / types to activate, but unlike normal bursts, you can use them immediately without an SP requirement. Limit breaking Full Burst skills will lower the activation requirement from a sequence of 4 skills into 3 skills, making them even easier to activate. However, Full Burst activation is limited with a 120-second cooldown period. You can use the skill just fine during the cooldown, you just need to wait 120 seconds for the Full Burst effect to reactivate. You have multiple charges until the cooldown hits, based on the number of full bursts you have equipped. You'll be getting a free full burst Kirito skill by completing the Floor 51 story. Swinging Blade Kirito is a fire element full burst one-handed sword skill. It does up to 680% damage at max limit break to all enemies in 5 hits and increases your evasion by up to 11% for 10 seconds. In burst mode, it does up to 1360% to all enemies in 5 hits, gives a 15-second buff to your fire element damage by up to 9%, and a 20% attack increase against burning enemies as a bonus. Alright, let's keep that excitement going with tons of free and guaranteed pulls. We have a 5-day free order streak featuring different types of guaranteed drops. Yesterday was guaranteed burst skill, today is, or was, depending on when this video ends up being uploaded, a 4-star Awakening guaranteed, then a 4-star Mod guaranteed, then a 4-star Connect guaranteed, and last but not least, a 4-star Excella guaranteed on Tuesday. Do not miss them. On the more obscure but kinda sorta just as awesome side, we have a free search campaign. In the shop page, you need to go into the items sub-menu, and there you'll find a free 11 pool for special materials. They include huge XP items, mod slot unlock materials, drop rate or proficiency bonuses, and all those kinds of stuff. As I said, it is obscure and most people don't even realize this exists whenever this comes over, but don't let it fly under the radar. Grab it every single day, the materials are very much worth it. Our usual XP event with Silica has been updated from 20 million to a Heapin 30 million XP. Every day, visit Silica in the Teleport Gate Plaza for an easy boss granting you an escalating amount of XP. A new holiday campaign panel mission is here, featuring very easy tasks to reward you with up to 1000 Arcana gems to collect. Do not miss out on them. For casual players, the hardest is likely gonna be equipping any Integral Series weapon from Floor Boss Grind and equipping any Dark Blade Series armor from the Chaos Dungeon. So, you may need some grinding to get those two if you've never done them before, but don't worry, you got a month until the end of the year on December 31st. Lucky for you, drop rates for many items during this grinding process have been increased with this latest update, so you'll likely have a better time with your grind than most of us did. There's also a holiday campaign login bonus running for 28 days. Day 1 will be granting you the same full burst Kirito skill you can get from clearing floor 51, so that's a free limit break if you get both of them. Then tons of Arcana gems followed by useful materials. Last but not least, we have our banners, multiple banners actually. The full burst order features Kirito, Asuna and Koharu from the 6th anniversary key visual. First step is 50% off, third step is a 4-star guaranteed, and fifth step is a 4-star from the trio guaranteed. The man at the lead Kirito is a fire burst sword skill. At max limit break does up to 1920% damage to a single enemy in 8 hits and buffs fire damage by up to 9% for 15 seconds. In burst mode, it does up to 4500 damage to a single enemy in 8 hits and it increases your attack by twice of your defense stat. Toward Tomorrow Asuna is a water burst rapier skill. At max limit break, it does up to 1910% damage to a single enemy in 6 hits and buffs your water damage for 15 seconds by up to 9%. In burst mode, 4480% damage to a single enemy in 6 hits and a bonus 2000 attack if the enemy is a slash element. With you, Koharu is a Dark Burst Dagger skill. At max limit break, it does up to 1460% damage to a single enemy in 8 hits and buffs dark damage for 15 seconds by up to 9%. In burst mode, it does up to 4090% damage to a single enemy in 8 hits. It grants 1500 attack if the enemy is blunt element and a 50% attack bonus if the enemy is afflicted by any damage over time status effects. There is another set of units featuring Sinon, Sachi, Agil, Lisbeth and Silica Datamine. However, their banner was not in the mines from what I saw, so I imagine they're coming next week and thus I won't be covering them in this video despite us knowing their stats. There's also a holiday campaign grand order with huge drop rates as well as another free 11 pulls everyday holiday banner coming up, so stay tuned for them later this week. That wraps up this weekly Integral Factor. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave a like. As I said, the weekly Integral Factor videos haven't been performing well and are actually hurting my channel performance in general, so I'd really appreciate some support against the algorithm, otherwise the series is gonna get axed. Don't forget to check out Lens Squad and the first day merch, link is gonna be in the description for my Teespring page. Huge thanks to all members and patrons, and until next time, stay cool.